Over the last several days, we've learned that there was a long, drawn-out legal battle in secret between the special counsel's office and Twitter over a warrant for Twitter to turn over access to Donald Trump's account, including his direct messages or DMs. Today, we've got a much fuller picture of that legal battle and of what was ultimately released to the special counsel. And the two sort of top-line takeaways are that Trump did have lots of DMs, what his lawyers called confidential communications, which the special counsel's office ultimately did get access to, and that Elon Musk's company did basically everything in its power to fight on Trump's behalf, including resisting prosecutors' demands that they not tell Trump about the search warrant. Twitter's delay in complying with the warrant led the judge to hold it in contempt and hit it with a $350,000 fine. Lisa Rubin is an MSNBC legal analyst who's been closely following this story, and she joins me now. So, Lisa, what are the new? We sort of thought something was going on behind the curtains. Then we got our first documents indicating some of the contours of this. Now today we got a bunch more that really sort of show what went down. What did we get access to today, and what does it show?
We got access to a number of transcripts, Chris, where the government and Twitter's outside counsel are squaring off in front of one of maybe the toughest judges in the District of Columbia's federal court, Judge Beryl Howell, who I should note had intimate familiarity with what the special counsel's offices have done in the past. Why? Because she was the chief judge of the district and presided over all grand jury and stored communication disputes during the Mueller investigation. And in fact, uses that knowledge to really interrogate Twitter's counsel, saying, are you not aware of the fact that the Mueller team, for example, got over 230 orders just like this to access stored communication? And do you think in any of those instances, the special counsel's team went to the White House and said, hey, we're going to give you a heads up. We're looking for confidential communications. No, that's not how it went down. So she was in a particularly good position to really put the screws to Twitter's counsel about their resistance to complying with her order.
Yeah, and you know, I should say as a sort of general matter, a social media company that is going to fight government attempts to grab users' accounts or data is a good thing, I think. In most instances, you want them to be sort of resistant to that idea. I mean, one of the things that Howell points out, if I'm not mistaken, is that Twitter's been handing over stuff left and right. And in fact, you know, reporting shows that it's been handing over stuff left and right to really gnarly authoritarian governments and regimes where, you know, handing it over really spells doom. Howell seems pretty pointed about, like, what exactly is your deal here with Donald Trump?
Right. And she basically accuses them of trying to compensate for the fact that under prior ownership, Donald Trump was kicked off of Twitter, and that Elon Musk now may want to make nice with Donald Trump by giving him a heads up about something that's not appropriate to notify him about. But at the end of the day, she succeeds and the government succeeds in getting Twitter to comply, not only because she imposes a $350,000 sanction on them, but also because the government demonstrates to her its urgency. So one of the things, Chris, that leapt off the page to me is Tom Windham, one of the prosecutors for the government, basically saying, we needed this information 13 days ago. We're running up against an elapsing clock. You can feel the timeliness of what they're trying to do and the rush in their investigation. It's not to say it's overly rushed or, you know, impetuous, but you feel some urgency from the government in saying, we need Twitter to comply, and we needed them to comply yesterday.
I want to read from the search warrant for Trump's Twitter account, and then the items that were sought include all direct messages sent, received, or stored in draft form, all devices used to log in at Real Donald Trump, location information, IP addresses used to log into an account from October 2020 to January 2021, tweets created, drafted, favorited, or liked, including any deleted. Are we to believe, and I believe that Trump's lawyers at one point say this, or maybe Twitter's lawyer, that there were personal communications, DMs, that the special counsel did get access to?
Yeah, and it comes up in the course of this fight about executive privilege that Twitter is, for reasons unbeknownst to the government and Beryl Howell, trying to vindicate, right? They're not a government office. And nonetheless, they're essentially saying, well, he might have executive privilege over some of these communications. And Howell says to them, what would cause you to believe that? And they said, well, there's some volume of confidential communications here. And she says, how do you know that they're confidential? And that's when they reveal, well, we looked in the DMs folder to see if there was anything there. If the folder's empty, then you can presume there are no confidential communications. But in actuality, there's really some volume there. Now, Chris, we don't know, are those DMs that Trump received? Are those DMs Trump sent? To me, those are two very different things, because particularly given what kind of settings you can put on your account, any old Yahoo out there in the Twitterverse might be able to send you a direct message. But if they are ones that were sent, and if we also learn about who had access to this account, which devices and IP addresses were involved, we might learn a lot more ultimately about how Trump's Twitter account was used, by whom, and whether it was sort of used in the way that Paul Manafort used his draft email folder, right, as a staging ground for what ultimately became his communications.
That's a great point. Lisa Rubin, as always, on point. Thank you very much.